The Spyderco Gauntlet Sharpener is a safe, convenient solution for virtually all knife sharpening needs. It is extremely convenient to use, yet versatile enough to quickly and efficiently sharpen all blade profiles and edge styles, including serrated edges. Unlike many other sharpeners, the Gauntlet sets up in seconds and does not require any electricity, oil, water, or complicated clamps or fixtures. This instructional video will teach you how to use the Gauntlet to sharpen practically any knife in your home to a high-performance razor edge. The Gauntlet Premium comes with a high-impact plastic base and 2 sets of abrasive stones, coarse cubic boron nitride or CBN-coated stones, and fine high alumina ceramic stones. The stones are shaped like a cat's eye, so the edges provide a narrow radius for sharpening serrations, and the sides provide a broader radius for sharpening plain-edged blades. When the stones are inserted into the holes in the Gauntlet base, they automatically set the proper sharpening angle for most knives, 20 degrees per side or a 40-degree included angle. The holes in the Gauntlet base allow the stones to be rotated to expose fresh abrasive surfaces as you sharpen. To sharpen a plain edge blade, place the Gauntlet sharpener on a sturdy surface at waist level or lower, and place the ceramic stones in the base so their broad convex surfaces face inward. Place your non-dominant hand into the plastic handguard and grip your knife firmly with the plane of the blade vertical. Starting with the heel of the edge closest to the handle, draw the edge from heel to tip all the way down the stone. Repeat the process on the other stone, using medium pressure and making sure to keep the plane of the blade vertical. Keep alternating from one side to the other as if slicing down each stone. Keeping the plane of the blade vertical automatically maintains the perfect sharpening angle on both sides of the blade. As you sharpen your knife, you'll notice that a dark line begins to appear on each stone. This is steel being removed from the blade and is perfectly normal. If the surface of the stone begins to get clogged with steel and the abrasive is no longer cutting aggressively, simply rotate the stones in the base to expose a fresh area of abrasive. Then continue the process, keeping the blade vertical and drawing each side heel to tip all the way down the stone. To sharpen serrated edges, insert the ceramic stones in the Gauntlet base so the edges of the stones face inward. The small radius of the edges is specifically designed to fit into the scallops between the teeth of serrated blades. Using the same basic technique as we did with plain edge knives, draw the blade from heel to tip, alternating from one stone to the other. Make sure you go slowly, however, so the edge of the stone has time to flow between every tooth to sharpen the entire length of the cutting edge. In general, the fine ceramic stones included with the Gauntlet Select will sharpen and maintain most knives. They are easily cleaned with ordinary kitchen cleanser, hot water, and a scrubbing pad. Maintained properly, they will last a lifetime. For very dull knives, the CBN stones included with the Gauntlet Premium should be used to remove steel more quickly. These stones are also available separately. CBN stones should only be used to sharpen plain-edge knives. The sharpening process is the same as the ceramic stones, but only light pressure should be used. Again, if the steel removed from the blade builds up on the stones, simply rotate them in the base to expose a fresh, abrasive surface. You should only use the broad, convex surfaces of the CBN stones for sharpening. Do not use the edges of the stones, as the CBN abrasive can be easily worn off these narrow surfaces. When you're finished sharpening, the Gauntlet stones can be stored in its base. Insert the fine stones through the slots in the base and place the CBN stones on top. It is now ready and waiting for its next sharpening session. Thank you for your interest in the Spyderco Gauntlet Sharpener. For more information, please visit spyderco.com or your favorite Spyderco dealer.
Designed to fit the needs of outdoor enthusiasts and climbers, the Rock Jumper is a lightweight, mid-sized folding knife that's born to perform. Its broad VG10 stainless steel blade has a full flat grind for optimal edge geometry and a full-length, perfectly straight cutting edge. Designed for unfailing reliability under pressure, its Wharncliffe profile offers everything from extreme cutting power to scalpel-like precision. The knife's hand-filling handle is constructed with skeletonized stainless steel liners, fiberglass reinforced nylon scales, and a stout backlock mechanism with a strong self-close function. Its bidirectional texture pattern ensures a secure non-slip grip, while a 4-position hourglass clip and oversized lanyard hole offer a full range of carry positions. Together with the knife's other symmetrical features, they make every aspect of the Rock Jumper's carry and operation completely ambidextrous. Our incredibly popular line of value folders takes a new turn with the Astute. Although it shares the same basic construction and materials as its brethren, it features a sleeker, more stylish design that is amazingly pocket-friendly. The long, gently curved cutting edge and full flat grind of its 8CR13 MOV stainless steel blade give it impressive cutting power and point utility. Its ergonomic open-backed handle features full stainless steel liners for strength and textured G10 scales to ensure a secure, non-slip grip. The sturdy liner lock mechanism locks the blade securely when in use, and a 4-position pocket clip and lined lanyard hole allow all possible carry preferences. Simply put, the Astute sets a new standard in affordable Spyderco style. The Pacific Salt 2 platform combines the highly refined ergonomics, grip texture, and 4-position pocket clip of the iconic Endura4 Lightweight with ultra-corrosion-resistant materials. This all-new version of the Pacific Salt 2 further enhances the design with a full flat-ground LC200N blade, a distinctive green FRN handle, and black-coated handle hardware and clip. Available with either a plain edge or fully serrated spider edge, this fully ambidextrous design provides unparalleled cutting performance in and around the water. Jim Ankerson is a passionate student of metallurgy and its relationship to knife design and performance. Drawing from his hard-earned practical knowledge and years of knife testing experience, he teamed up with custom knife maker Darren Sanders to design a capable, all-purpose knife that is ready for anything. The Province's clip-point buoy-style blade is machined from CPM4V, a particle metallurgy tool steel enriched with vanadium and molybdenum for high-caliber strength, edge retention, and toughness. Its high saber grind balances strength and edge geometry, while its full tang handle and contoured G10 scales safeguard a secure, hand-filling grip. Ideally suited for survival, camping, and other demanding applications, the Province comes complete with a handcrafted leather sheath. Easily recognizable by their Z-shaped profiles, offset knives are unique because their handles are above the level of the blade instead of in line with it. Like a classic chef's knife, this aligns the blade's edge with the finger knuckles while providing ample clearance for them when working on a cutting board. Unlike a chef's knife, however, offset knives are much smaller, lighter, and much more versatile. The Spyderco Z-Cut series of knives elevates this time-tested concept to all new levels of quality and performance. Their highly refined ergonomics, state-of-the-art CTS BD1N blade steel, and scientifically optimized blade geometry offer an unparalleled cutting experience and will quickly make them your favorite go-to knives for all food preparation chores. Z-Cut knives are available in both pointed and blunt-tip styles and with either plain or fully serrated edges. The pointed serrated version features Spyderco's legendary spider edge pattern, while the blunt-tipped style has a uniform pattern of smaller teeth. Both increase the functional length of the cutting edge by 24% or more for truly voracious cutting performance. All versions of the Z-Cut are full flat ground from corrosion-resistant CTS BD1N stainless steel and have durable polypropylene handles. Available in a choice of black, green, red, and yellow, the handles are injection molded directly onto the blade tangs and feature a non-slip, pebbled texture. Proudly made in the USA, the Spyderco Z-Cut is the kitchen cutting tool you've been waiting for.
When it comes to knives, there is no one-size-fits-all. So when I designed my original Yojimbo 2, it was well received, but immediately I started getting feedback from some people that said, it's too small, it doesn't fit my hand, I want something bigger, I can carry something bigger where I live. Again, it's always a balancing act. But to help satisfy that balancing act, we have what's called now the Yojimbo. Literally, it is a scaled up version of the Yojimbo that has the ergonomics slightly fine-tuned to fit larger hands. So what you have is a 4-inch blade, so about 25% larger than the Yojimbo 2. Same basic design characteristics, compression lock mechanism, CPM S30V blade, deep hollow grind. What you have as far as the handle goes, again, you have kind of fine-tuned ergonomics. So the two scallops here for normal-sized hands, which I consider mine to be, they fit very nicely into here. If you have a larger hand and you need more real estate, it gives you plenty of room to be able to fit that. And based on our testing, based on putting this in the hands of many people before we finalize the prototype, it tends to be comfortable for most people with larger hands. Compression lock mechanism as always, so when you have a large blade like this, you want to have something that is very strong, also allows you to close the knife easily one-handed. 4-position clip, tip up, tip down, left or right side carry, so full versatility as far as carry options. And very importantly, as far as I'm concerned, also a coarse texture G10 grip. So for a larger knife like this, I like something that's a little bit grippier, especially when you're drawing a large knife from your pocket. You want to make sure you have that grip security. So the Ojumbo is basically the Ojimbo 2 scaled up, more of a good thing. When Spyderco founder Sal Glesser first put a clip on a pocket knife nearly 40 years ago, he not only revolutionized the form of the modern folding knife, he also started a very powerful trend with regard to everyday carry, or what we now call EDC. EDC items are basically things that we carry with us on a daily basis that are an integral part of who we are as individuals. Whether it's a knife, a flashlight, a tactical pen, or a chapstick, it doesn't really matter. These are the things that we want to have with us at all times so we can be prepared for the situations that we're most concerned about. Now, when it comes to choosing EDC items, it's a very personal choice. But one of the things that you'll find is if you look at any well-prepared EDC kit, one of the elements you'll always find is some type of a bag. A bag allows us to carry multiple items, to keep them well organized, and to make sure that they're always accessible when we need them most. Now here at Spyderco, one of the things we found several years ago was that many members of the Spyderco crew had EDC bags. They also had very strong opinions as far as those bags and what features they needed to have. As we started to dig deeper into that, what we found was that most people had gone through a pretty lengthy trial and error process to find the bag that worked best for them. They literally had closets full of bags back home that didn't quite cut it. So we realized that this process of choosing something that worked for them, we went through the same logical process. We all kind of came to the same conclusions. And in many cases, what we ended up with were things that were very similar. They had all the same features, the same benefits, the same performance characteristics. And that gave us an idea. Why not create a bag that saves you the trial and error that we went through? Create something that gives you a turnkey solution as an everyday carry bag and also allows you to show your Spyderco pride. The result of that process is this. This is a Spyderco by VanQuest Envoy 13 messenger bag. To implement that idea, we first had to find a manufacturing partner that could not only produce a well-designed, superior quality bag, but also shared our commitment to high performance and unwavering customer service. After an extensive search, we chose VanQuest, an undisputed leader in the tactical nylon industry, as our preferred maker. This bag is an exclusive version of VanQuest's 4th generation Envoy 13 messenger bag that features a unique color combination and is proudly embroidered in 2 places with the Spyderco Bug logo. Its 2-tone black and gray color scheme is complemented by high visibility red zipper pulls in VanQuest's signature Spartan design, but showcasing the Spyderco brand name. The Envoy 13 is expertly crafted from state-of-the-art materials, including ultra-durable 1000 denier and 500 denier Cordura nylon, Hypalon, and YKK zippers. Its fully configurable design includes 22 strategically located pockets and slots for maximum organization of your EDC items. The 13 in its name reflects the fact that it was designed to accommodate laptops and tablets with screens up to 13 inches in size. A 10.5-inch zipper on the top of the bag allows easy access to your computer and other items without opening the flap. And the high-visibility padded main compartment is completely loop-lined to accept dividers and other hook and loop or Velcro accessories. Zippered collapsible bottle holders at each end of the bag accept water bottles and travel cups up to and including 32-ounce or 1-liter Nalgene bottles. They also include Hypalon Molly air panels for the easy attachment of Molly pouches and other accessories. For concealed carry permit holders, the backside of the Envoy 13 includes a dedicated concealed carry compartment with a fully loop-lined panel that allows easy attachment of Velcro-backed holsters, magazine pouches, and other accessories. In an emergency, this compartment and the bag's high-visibility zipper pulls allow instant access to critical personal defense tools. The back of the bag also includes a luggage handle pass-through that allows it to piggyback on a suitcase handle. A zippered compartment in the pass-through easily accommodates glasses cases, chewing gum, and other small items you want to keep at hand. The front flap of the bag includes a Molly air panel that accepts Molly accessories and Velcro back patches and other items. Just above the Hypalon light mount, an understated embroidered bug shows the bag's Spyderco lineage. The flap can be secured by twin Velcro strips or two UTX Duraflex buckles, and when raised, reveals an admin panel that provides easy storage and organization of pens, pencils, highlighters, flashlights, and other items. For over-the-shoulder carry, the Envoy 13 has a wide nylon shoulder strap, a contoured non-slip shoulder pad, and a waist strap. All of these are fully adjustable and removable. If you remove them, you can carry the bag like a briefcase using twin padded grab handles, which balance its weight even when fully loaded and keep it from listing. The Spyderco by VanQuest Envoy 13 is also unique in that it is a direct-to-consumer product. In other words, it will be sold directly to Spyderco enthusiasts and will not be distributed through our dealer and distributor network. Handpicked by Spyderco, this exclusive expression of VanQuest's Envoy 13 truly reflects the hard-won EDC wisdom of the Spyderco crew. It offers superior quality and versatile design while allowing you to show your Spyderco pride in state-of-the-art style. Spyderco's Galley V is an easy-to-use sharpening system that quickly sharpens all types of kitchen knives, even those with serrated edges. Intended as a permanent or semi-permanent fixture in serious kitchens, it is designed to be clamped or screwed to a countertop or other solid surface, so the sharpener is always available for quick touch-ups that keep your knives at maximum sharpness. Sharpening is basically the process of using an abrasive to carefully remove the steel from the edge of a knife to reshape it into an acute V shape. To do this properly, the angle between the blade and the abrasive must be consistent on both sides of the edge and along its entire length. The Galley V does this by positioning its abrasive rods at the perfect preset angles, so all you have to do is to keep the plane of your blade vertical as you draw it along each rod. Best of all, unlike most other sharpeners, it is quick and simple to use and does not require any electricity, oil, water, or any complicated clamps or fixtures. The Galley V comes complete with the sharpener base, two fine grit white ceramic rods, and a detailed instruction sheet. To permanently mount the Galley V in your kitchen, find a suitable area that offers a sturdy countertop or tabletop. Using two screws and the countersunk holes in its base, mount the Galley V at the edge of the surface. For best results, it should be positioned at about waist level with the base parallel to the edge of the surface. If you don't want to mount the Galley V permanently, you can also use C-clamps or similar high-strength clamps to mount it securely but temporarily. Please do not attempt to hand-hold the Galley V. It is not designed or intended for this type of use. To sharpen plain-edge knives, insert either end of the fine ceramic rods into the angled holes in the base so a portion of one of their convex surfaces faces in toward the middle of the V. The precisely molded holes in the base preset the angle of the rods to 10 degrees per side to create a 20-degree included angle. This acute angle is ideal for sharpening thin-bladed kitchen knives. Stand squarely in front of the Galley V so it is immediately in front of you and at waist level. Grip the knife in your dominant hand with your thumb on the top of the handle or the spine of the blade and the plane of the blade vertical. Keeping the plane of the blade vertical, place the heel of the edge, the base of the edge closest to the handle, against one of the sharpening rods. While applying constant but very light pressure, draw the edge of the knife down the rod as you simultaneously pull the knife toward you. This action is very much like trying to slice a layer off the sharpening rod. The end of your stroke should finish at the tip of the knife. Now place the heel of the edge against the opposite rod and repeat the process, drawing the full length of the edge down the rod as you pull toward you. Return to the first rod and repeat this process again, alternating between the rods until you've completed 20 strokes per side. By simply keeping the plane of the blade vertical, an easily learned skill, the angles of the rods automatically provide the proper sharpening angle and enable you to maintain that angle consistently along the entire edge. The extra long rods also provide greater surface area to easily accommodate long-bladed knives. After 20 strokes per side, examine the edge of your knife or test it by trying to slice a piece of paper. If it has achieved the desired level of sharpness, you're done. If your edge is still not as sharp as you want it to be, repeat the process for another 20 strokes per side as necessary until you achieve a sharp working edge. As you sharpen with the ceramic rods, you will notice that the surfaces contacting the blade edge will begin to turn dark. This is actually steel being removed from the blade as you sharpen. If a rod surface becomes too clogged with steel to continue to sharpen effectively, remove it from the base and rotate it slightly to present a fresh abrasive surface. The two convex sides of the rods provide plenty of surface area for multiple sharpenings. When they do finally become completely clogged with steel, they can be easily cleaned with ordinary kitchen cleanser, warm water, and an abrasive pad. Unlike most sharpeners, the Galley V sharpens serrated blades just as easily as plain-edged ones. The edges of its abrasive rods are purposely rounded to allow them to fit into the scallops between the teeth of a serrated edge. To sharpen a serrated edge, set up the galley V so the edges of the white ceramic rods face inward toward the center of the V. Stand squarely in front of the galley V so it is immediately in front of you and at waist level. Keeping the plane of the blade vertical, use the same basic technique you would for a plain edge knife, but go slowly and use a slightly looser grip. This will allow the entire cutting edge to stay in contact with the sharpening rod, as the narrow radiused edge of the rod flows in and out of each serration scallop. Now place the heel of the edge against the opposite rod and repeat the process, drawing the full length of the edge down the rod as you pull toward you. Return to the first rod and repeat the process again, alternating between the rods until you've completed 20 strokes per side. Examine your edge and repeat the process if necessary until you've achieved the desired degree of sharpness. If the edges of the rods get clogged with steel, remove the rods and rotate them to use the opposite edges. An alternate method of sharpening serrations is to perform 3 strokes on the bevel side of the edge and 1 stroke on the opposite side. This method faithfully maintains the original geometry of the edge, even after many sharpenings. Spyderco's Galley V takes the mystery out of knife sharpening and is the quickest and easiest way of keeping every knife in your kitchen in top condition.
My name's James Clifton. I work for American Leak Detection. I'm also a knife maker, and I'm sponsored by Spyderco.
So I'm Donovan Phillips. I'm from Morton, Mississippi. I'm the Blade Sports Executive Director, 4-time national champion, and as of a few minutes ago, the 2019 World Champion.
This is my third complete season for cutting competitions.
This year was my year. I've been competing at World Championship at Blade Show since 2008.
I love the competitiveness, just the speed of it and the power. It's a good time.
We're a big family. We call each other for advice, for help, for everything. I mean, it's just one big family, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Spyderco has made all of this possible for me. They get me to all the competitions and make sure I have everything I need. I couldn't ask for anyone better than that.
So Spyderco helped me out in the very beginning and sponsored me in 2009. And they've been sponsoring me since 2009, and without them, I couldn't do this. There's no way. They've helped me through the thin times with Blade Sports. They've helped me into the great times we're now building. They're still there with us. And without them, I could not do this. And they're our oldest and best sponsor. This is the world champion belt buckle for this year. I've already got 4 of these that are national champion. This one says world. It's my first one, so this one makes it special. This is the first time I've won it, so this is a really big deal to me. So,
if it looks like fun, it is. You come try it. It's way more than you ever thought. Give it a shot.
Main thing is, if you're interested in blade sports, just try it. All we ask you to do is put a knife in your hand. If you put a knife in your hand, you're going to see why we do it, why we go all over the place doing it. You will start to see the camaraderie and the friendships that can be had from it. It's not all about cutting, it's about learning, it's about friendship. So if you are interested at all, please let us know and join. We'd be glad to have you.
Hi everybody, I'm Brandon with Spyderco, and today on the Education series we're going to be talking with Mike Janich about the compression lock.
Hey Brandon, the compression lock is actually something that goes back to the year 2000. The very first one we ever did was the Gunting knife designed by Bram Frank. Nice piece of history. This goes back again to kind of the first generation of this particular expression of the lock. This also, for the fans of paramilitary 2s, when you go back to the first generation Para 1, this was also one of the first compression locks, and also my original Yojimbo design. When you look at these, what's interesting about them is compared to the current compression lock, the detent mechanism is different. We can get into the details of that a little bit more as we look at some of the specifics of these, but the most common question we get about compression locks is, it's just a liner lock on the back of the knife, right? So if we look at the inside of the knife, here's a cutaway that I made up. This is a tenacious model that's cut away. What you can see with the liner lock is that the ramp on the tang of the blade faces back toward the butt end of the handle, okay? So when you open this up, that liner is under spring tension. It moves over onto the ramp, wedges against the ramp, and that's what gives you your locking action. If you apply pressure to try to close the blade, what typically ends up happening is that you either push the liner off of the ramp under extreme pressure, or what's going to happen is because it's a pretty long spring, it's going to bow in the middle and it'll still slide off that liner. That's how that gives up. So that's a traditional liner lock. When you look at a compression lock, what you've got is a very different lock mechanism, different mechanics overall. So what you got instead is a ramp that faces upward toward the spine of the handle when the knife is open. That ramp also faces up toward the stop pin. So the stop pin actually does double duty on this. When you open up the blade, what happens is it restricts the rotation of the blade when it hits the open position. But also you notice now that the liner, when it slides over, there's still a ramp on the tang of the blade, but that liner is actually between that ramp and the stop pin. So when you try to apply that pressure, instead of just trying to push the liner off the ramp or bend it out of the way, what it's actually trying to do is crush that liner, crush the liner this way between the ramp and that stop pin. So that's where compression comes from. You're actually compressing the liner rather than just trying to push it out of the way. It's a much stronger lock. It's just mechanically very different than a liner lock, even though the operation as far as the release looks pretty much the same.
So one thing we have at Spyderco is CQI, constant quality improvement. Things change and evolve over time. How has that evolved with the compression lock over time?
That's a great question. When you look actually at the very first compression lock, what's interesting about it, when we go back to the Gunting, if you look at it, it is actually a left-handed compression lock. So that was one of kind of the unique things about it. Bram Frank is actually left-handed. His operation for closing the lock was actually even operating it right-handed. It was designed to release the lock with the thumb. When you look at the early, the paramilitary, the original first generation version, or the Ojimbo first generation, these are set up the way the current compression locks are. And what you'll also notice, you can see this best on the little temperance. The detent on these, you can see that little cutout right at the tang of the blade on the side of the blade, so it's machined into the side. That's actually the detent. So when you close that, what happens is the full cross-sectional dimension of that lock bar goes over and drops into that detent. So instead of the ball bearing detent that we currently use, which is actually a lot more efficient, it's a lot easier to create the detent tension that you want, especially when we start doing like compression lock flippers and that type of thing. The original ones were actually set up this way. When you look at the evolution, historically, we've actually done integral compression locks as well. So when you kind of take that concept of a reeve integral lock, where you've got more of a frame lock mechanism, the lock bar is actually built into the full frame scale. This is one of the old school ATRs. This one actually, if you notice, it says Taz on it. And for those of you out there on the Spyderco forum, you know who that is. So you know where this knife came from. But that is a compression lock that is actually integral to it. So it's evolved over time. When we look at the full evolution, if we take it all the way up to our current, some of our latest offerings, we've got our smock. This one is a compression lock, but you notice there's no cutout on the back here because the lock release is actually operated by this button. So you press the button, that's what releases the lock. Makes it even more user-friendly. You don't have to worry about trying to get your fingers down into that lock well. So it really has evolved pretty significantly over time.
So the compression lock has clearly come a long way. It continues to evolve. What are some of the advantages of the compression lock? What's it best suited for?
Again, when you look at the mechanics of it, strength-wise, it is significantly stronger, at least has a potential of being significantly stronger than a liner lock. So when you're looking at knives, like for example, this one's near and dear to my heart, the Ojimbo 2, one of my designs. This one, designed for personal defense, you want something that has extreme lock strength. So when it comes to Spyderco's evaluation of that, we use the bender breaker to be able to test our lock strength and actually quantify how strong our locks are. This one is NBC rated, which means that it'll hold 200 inch-pounds of pressure per inch of blade length. So when you look at being able to maximize the potential of lock strength, compression lock is one of the few locks that can actually achieve that. What's also great about it, when you look at a typical liner lock, when you're gripping the liner lock, one of the things that you'll notice is that you're actually putting your index finger in contact with the lock. For normal use, absolutely no problem. If you're using it really hard, especially if you're trying to do any kind of a twisting action or anything, you need to be careful that you don't inadvertently release the lock. When you look at a compression lock, however, the lock release actually typically will nest into the web of your thumb. So even if you're gripping this thing tight, what you've got is all soft tissue around this area of your hand. There's really no way that you can inadvertently or unintentionally release that lock and have it close when you don't want it to. When it comes to actually closing it, one of the things with a liner lock is you have to release the lock, kind of move the blade a little bit to start its closing action, and then get your thumb out of the way to finish the action. So for a moment there, essentially your thumb is in line with the edge. So you just have to exercise some extra care when you're closing it. With a compression lock, what's nice about it is you get this pinch grip. You have your thumb on the outside of the scale here, index finger is here. You simply squeeze that, swing the blade down. So now you have one hand opening, one hand closing, and you never get your fingers in the path of the edge. So just from an operational standpoint, it offers a lot of advantages.
So really the lock isn't just about strength, it's also about the ergonomics, how you can use it, how you can easily open and close a knife.
Exactly. When it comes down to just user friendliness, ease of operation, and also safety of operation, especially for people. If your way of using a knife, if you're holding on to something, you have to open your knife, cut it, and then be able to stow the knife safely without letting go of whatever that might be. If your requirements demand that type of thing, the compression lock can be really user friendly for that type of application.
And you mentioned we have the original models were actually left-handed. Are there any left-handed compression locks now?
The Paramilitary 2 is currently available as a left-handed compression lock. It's the only one we currently have in the line, so for lefties, it's more of a limited offering. But it doesn't mean that you can't operate this left-handed. You can also, when you look at the way you would normally close, say, a back lock for Spyderco, you could also operate this left-handed. So what I do when I do this lefty, I'll put my thumb in the lock well to release it, and I'll drop down so the base of the tang touches my index finger here. So again, my finger is not in the way of the edge in any way. Simply switch my grip and close it.
So really a simple lock to operate either hand, either way you want to use it.
Yeah, like anything else that we make, we design it with ergonomics in mind, we design it with ease of use and that user-friendliness in mind. But if you're a lefty, sometimes, as lefties all know, you have to change gears a little bit and kind of adapt to whatever the tool might be. But we try to make that as easy as possible.
So one thing about the compression lock is you see it on a lot of Spyderco knives, but you don't see it really used outside of Spyderco. Why is that?
The compression lock is actually a patented lock. When you look at patents, you have two basic types of patents. You have a utility patent, which is actually intellectual property on a proprietary invention, something that is truly unique from a mechanical or a process standpoint or something like that. And then you have just a design patent. This is actually a utility patent, which means that went through all the formal paperwork and everything to have the patent office assess it. It was granted a patent, so it is Spyderco's proprietary intellectual property.
So we've really gotten into the compression lock and learned a lot about it, but what would you say is the most important thing Spyderco fans should know about the compression lock?
Well, at Spyderco, again, we believe in education. So the most important thing is to understand how the lock works, how it is different than a liner lock mechanically, how its operation offers, some significant advantages as far as how you can operate the knife, being able to then open it and close it very easily. Just that ease of use. And it's like anything else, the more you learn about something, the more you can kind of evaluate it as far as your personal needs. There is no one size fits all when it comes to knives, so when people are looking for a Spyderco knife that fits their specific needs, the more they know, the more empowered they are, and the better they can make a choice.
Sure. Well, that's a lot of great information. Thanks for that, Mike. We've covered a ton of ground on the compression lock today. Gotten inside, learned a lot about it, its history, what it's used for, its strength, all kinds of different things, and that's just the first in this series. There'll be a lot more to come soon, so thanks for joining us. Hi everybody, Brandon with Spyderco. On today's edition of Education, we're going to be talking with Mike Janich, and we're going to be getting into some pocket clips. Mike, I guess we've got quite an assortment of knives right here. These days, pretty much any folding knife you see has a pocket clip on it. That hasn't always been the case. Tell us a little bit more about the history of the pocket clip.
Yeah, what we've got here is kind of a historical progression of what's happened. When you go back to prior to Sal Blesser and Spyderco, basically prior to 1981, you had traditional pocket knives, no clips. These would carry in a pocket. Or what you had was a knife that would carry in a belt pouch. So you really had to make a commitment, actually attach this thing to your belt, carry it in a pouch. So all the old school stuff, everything that everyone carried like back in the 1970s and prior, that's pretty much all you had.
Okay.
And it wasn't really until Sal Blesser and Spyderco came along that we had the pocket clip.
Yeah.
So when you look at the early Spyderco knives, everything was produced from basically 1980 through most of the 1980s. What you saw was primarily stainless steel construction like this, and what you had was a stainless steel clip, typically one position. So this is an old school police model that basically gave you tip down carry only, and that kind of became the standard for a long time. Although we look at it now and say, wow, that's kind of old school, at the time it was revolutionary. And it really is one of the defining factors of the modern folding knife, if you will. When you look at the capability to open a knife one-handed manually, carry it with a clip, and then the option of having a serrated blade, those three things that really everyone takes for granted now were revolutionary for its time, and we have Sal to thank for all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you start with the kind of very early police model, and then what are we working our way into here?
Well, as we kind of look forward, what we see is an old school Harpy here. This is Going from stainless steel handles to G10 handles, here we still have a single position clip, so this is right side tip down carry only, and a lot of the early Spyderco knives were tip down only. And what you see is this is linerless construction, so there's no stainless steel liners in this. And what that means is that the screws that attach the clip to the G10 were actually like tiny little wood screws. So they're actually more of an aggressive thread that attached straight into the G10. Worked fine. It's not the most robust way to do things. We ended up doing it differently later on, and we'll get to that in a bit. But what you saw is as we progressed into different handle materials, we also had to adapt the clip mounting as well.
So from the G10, you kind of move into the early stages of the lightweight FRN, those types of materials.
Yeah, what we've got here, you can see one of these things is not like the other. This I brought out from my collection. This is a Gerber LST. When we go back and look at the pioneering aspects of lightweight knives, a lot of that goes back to Blackie Collins, the late Blackie Collins, who was a legendary knife designer. As always with Spyderco, we like to give credit where credit is due, so I kind of brought this out just to give a nod to his contributions to knife history. But when you take kind of his pioneering efforts and then the way that, again, Sal and Gail kind of drove that from there, this is one of the early Enduros, and this has an integral clip. So what you've got is the lightweight construction. We were also pioneers in taking that style of construction using fiberglass reinforced nylon. But what we did was not just be content with making a handle, we wanted to have that integral clip as well. So now what we have is a knife that is super lightweight and also has all the advantages of clip carry.
Yeah, and we still get those in. You know, every week those are coming into the shop still. So.
Yeah, what happens, these things last a long time. When you carry it properly, when you use it properly, the clip will definitely hold up. We have people who, again, have been carrying these things for decades. But sometimes you move wrong, it gets snagged on something, whatever. If that clip breaks, we can still repair these, and we still do. As you said, we simply grind it off and attach a metal clip, screw that right into the plastic. But yeah, these things, a lot of these are still going strong. We have people at shows who will show up with these things and show them off all the time. Hey, look what I got. The next step in evolution came in 1998. So what we did was we wanted to have a reversible carry clip, and it's something that was also more robust than the integral plastic clip. So when you look at this, one of the downsides of it is it's right side only. And also you don't have any texturing on this side of the handle. So to have that volcano grip texturing on both sides, basically in 1998, what we did was we went with a metal clip, and it had a barrel bolt attachment. So it's basically a two-piece bolt that could be loosened with a couple of coins. Nickels fit into this really well, and what it allows you to do is to switch the clip from left to right side. And especially for something with a backlock mechanism, it made the knife truly ambidextrous. This happens to be a Pacific Salt, which is basically the third generation or the 1998 version of the Endura. We still use that mold for this particular knife, but as far as evolution goes, that was also another turning point as far as clip evolution.
So then when you move from there, you know, we moved into the metal clip. This is also a metal clip, but much different looking, and this is a really interesting knife right here too that's adapted to wire clip.
Yep, when you start looking at, like everything else, constant quality improvement. We're constantly researching and trying to develop new ways of solving the problem, if you will. So when we looked at wire clips, one of the nice things with a wire clip is it gives you some lateral flexibility. So when you look at, again, the knife is in your pocket, you stand up, you bump into something, and it applies pressure sideways this way. It just makes it a little bit more forgiving. It also allows you to kind of fine-tune that strength of the clip. In this case, what we got is another piece of history. This is a Dodo, so original production Dodo. And again, what we've got here is reversible, so with the wire clip, we have kind of a barrel bolt type of hardware, but left or right side tip-up carry. And again, a cool piece of history designed by Eric Lesser.
So these are more modern kind of knives that people will be a little more familiar with maybe. This one right here, the military model. As you look at the clip there, the position is different. The screws are kind of different, oriented differently. You know, how did we get to that point?
Well, the reason I wanted to include this one in our lineup here, if you will, is a lot of people have asked about what about a tip-up carry option for the military. When you look at Spyderco knives, of course, if you look either on the website or if you look in the catalog, you'll always see as one of the key elements of our tech specs, the fact that it will indicate, is it tip up or tip down, left or right side. So it lets you know right off the bat, what are my options for that knife. So people have asked about tip up carry for this. The reason that the military model is still delivered tip down, the primary reason is when you think of this in your pocket, if you were carrying tip up, when you reach in, I've got decent sized hands, when I reach in and draw this, my thumb is not going to be anywhere close to the opening hole. So what I'd have to do is reposition the knife to get to that point to where I could actually open it. Whereas if it's carried tip down, when I reach in, I'll draw the knife, I might have to reposition it and turn it a little bit in my hand, but then I have that ability to open it fluidly from there.
That's interesting, because a lot of it you think would just be personal preference, but I mean that's a big factor, but there's a lot of practical application to how you position that as well.
Exactly. When you look at clip design, there are a lot of things that go into it. I look at it as far as kind of three basic factors. One is, what's the size of the overall knife? So when you look at that, when you have a larger knife, it's going to limit how much of the knife you can grip when you draw it out of your pocket. You also look at the clip position itself. So when you look at where the clip is positioned on the knife and what it allows you to, essentially how it allows you to access the knife as you draw it. Tip up, tip down, how deep is it, all that type of thing. And then you look at the size of your hands. Because if you have smaller hands, if you have shorter fingers and everything, you look at your hands in relation to the size of the knife, it's also going to be a limiting factor. So what you got to do is kind of play those three different elements and find a balance that works for you.
So moving from the military, you've got your Tenacious here, some slight differences in those clips just as it kind of evolves, positioned similarly, placed similarly on the knife.
Yeah, but the big difference here, you notice that this is a one position clip only, so right side tip down carry. What we've got here with the Tenacious is it is drilled and tapped for all four positions. So what you have is tip up, tip down, left or right side.
So any, ambidextrous, any way you want it, you can get that clip to your specifications.
So in this case, what you have is the ability to carry the knife any way you want, literally any of the four possible positions, but it's still a liner lock mechanism. So you have to, again, weigh that. If you are left-handed, you have to then be able to operate the liner lock lefty. So again, when you're choosing a knife, the clip carry options also have to be weighed against the lock style, and whether the lock operation is ambidextrous as well. So again, kind of decision branches as you're choosing a knife that works best for your needs.
So from here we have the Drunken. This one looks kind of different from anything else here on the table. What's the story there?
The reason I wanted to show this one is what we do when we work with custom collaborators. In many cases, if they're putting clips on their knives, which most of them do, they also have that stylistic element. They may have a signature look for their particular clip, or they may have a particular material or something. We try to be as faithful as possible in representing that. Because the whole idea of doing collaborations is to essentially take custom designs that are, kind of an elite, expensive thing for most people to get, and say, let's democratize that a little bit, make it more affordable, more accessible to everybody else, but try to maintain as many of the key qualities as possible. So in this case, the clip very closely replicates what you'd find on Dmitry Sinkovich's custom version. So it's as faithful as possible as far as replicating the style of his custom knives.
And talking about other custom designers, we've got the Shemp buoy right here. That also has a wire clip on it, and kind of how is the progression of this wire clip on the Dodo here moved along to the Shemp buoy here?
This is kind of the edge of a deep rabbit hole that a lot of people like to crawl down, which is the deep pocket carry. So when you look at the wire clips on these two, what you've got is this one is going to carry a little bit higher in the pocket. Essentially the wire clip, as it comes down, the base extends out toward the butt end, whereas this one wraps underneath. So this is a deep pocket carry. And again, what this comes down to, for some people, they're not in a hurry to get to their knives. It's more of a casual cutting tool. They're not first responders. They're not looking at the knife as a personal defense weapon or anything like that. So the idea of getting it out quickly is not a priority to them. That's fine. So what they want is something that's a little more discreet. So when you put this down in the pocket, it's going to be almost completely concealed within the pocket. You have a dark colored clip. And because it's a see-through clip, you also see the material in the pocket showing through. So it could be a pen, it could be anything else, really nothing that stands out that is going to call attention to it. The thing is, with a deep pocket carry clip, that you do want to carry the knife for rapid access for whatever reason. What that means is, again, you're back into that situation where if you reach down in there, are you going to get enough of a grip to where you can draw that knife and open it quickly.
Yeah.
So if it's so well concealed that you can't draw it well, then you've kind of defeated the purpose.
Right, yeah.
So again, it comes down to personal preferences and why you carry a knife in the first place.
Yep.
It's a balancing act.
Yep.
So what we have here is, here's a Matriarch 2, and then this is actually a waved version of the Endura.
Oh, the Endura.
Okay. So yeah, the closed position look very, very similar, and you say, okay, well, these are basically the same handle for both, which is true. They have skeletonized stainless steel liners. That becomes the anchor for the clip screw. So when we compare that to, again, going back to the old school stuff like the G10, it's a machine screw that screws directly into that stainless steel, gives it a really good purchase for the screws.
Yep.
But what you find here is, with an Emerson opening mechanism here, this hook on the back of the blade, even though you have the option of tip-down carry, it really doesn't work well with that particular feature.
Right.
So even though you technically have the option for tip-down carry, if you want to use this thing the way that it's intended, so as you draw it from the pocket, it's going to hook and open, then obviously tip-up carry is going to be your
Right.
preference.
So if you've got that wave on there, there's really not a lot of usefulness in changing that position
Exactly.
around.
If you set it up the other way, then obviously it's not going to serve its purpose.
Sure.
What this also allows you to do, again, when you go back to like the personal defense side of things or just personal preference, one of the things to bear in mind, this is typically set up for right-handed carry. So as this comes out of the pocket, it'll open this way.
Yep.
If you wanted to set this up for what's called reverse grip, where you'd be coming out and gripping the knife this way, you simply flip the clip to the opposite side.
Okay.
So as it comes out of the pocket, it would come forward this way, and then you'd end up gripping it in reverse grip. So the clip carry position, also what you want to think about is, what grip do I want to achieve when I draw the knife? So you could actually fine tune things to be able to facilitate that as well.
So this is a similar knife here to the Matriarch, but there are some key differences here in how this clip is constructed and kind of the design behind this as
the
well.
original Civilian. This is a unique knife because it's one of the few we make that only has a single stainless steel liner.
Okay, yeah, you don't see that too much.
Yep, so the clip anchors into that stainless steel, so that's what allows the clip to mount securely. But what you have is tip up or tip down right side only.
Okay.
So again, you have to pay attention to the details.
Yep.
We do have a lot of different variations, a lot of different options. And to kind of bring it all full circle, that is, so if we look at our kind of old school police model here, we see a straight stainless steel clip. We see a single position here.
Yep.
Current production, we have a 4-position clip. So it's drilled and tapped here. Same thing on the other side.
Yep.
So even when we look at our classics, constant quality improvement still applies. What we're trying to do is to make them more versatile, more usable, be able to meet the needs of a broader audience.
Yep.
So even in maintaining classic features, we still will update that and just make the knife again, as functional and as versatile as possible.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see that progression. I mean, seemingly small things can make such a big difference in that kind of design.
Yep, the devil is in the details.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, when you think about the pocket clip, it seems like a simple thing. Maybe we take it for granted these days that it's on just about every knife and it has so many different positions, but this was a really interesting dive into kind of the full progression of the pocket clip and how it came to be today. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
%90 of the people out there are right-handed. What that means is it's primarily a right-handed world, and most of the tools you'll find out there are biased toward right-handed people. But we don't want to do a disservice to the 10% minority, the left-handers out there. And also we have to take into consideration that some people like to carry 2 knives, matched left and right side. And also for some people, especially law enforcement officers, military personnel, who carry sidearms, in many cases what they want is the firearm on the right side and the knife on their off side, the left side. So let's talk a little bit about what it takes to find a good left-hand carry knife. So first of all, what you have to look at are the 3 basic criteria. We're going to look at our carry positions, essentially how the clip allows you to carry the knife. We also want to look at the lock operation, how to be able to lock and unlock the knife and do that safely and efficiently. Then we also want to look at being able to get the knife open one-handed, essentially the access of the trademark round hole if you're looking specifically at a Spyderco product. Let's take a look at a little bit of history first of all. When we look at the earliest Spyderco knives, they were purpose designed and made specifically with either a right or left side bias. So this is actually an old school Spyderco Delica. So this is a first generation Delica. And as you see here on the integral clip, this is set up for right side carry, so right side tip up carry specifically. There were versions of this that were made also for left side carry. What we had to do was invest in a separate mold that allowed us to really create a mirror image of this particular knife. A lot more expense, and it also became a dedicated thing. There was no way to buy one knife and have it suitable for both left and right-handed users. If we fast forward a few years to the mid-1990s, this is a first generation native model. And with the native model, this was one of the things that was special about this was it was the first time that we introduced a reversible clip. So what we had was a barrel bolt style clip. And what this allowed you to do was to literally, just using a couple of coins, remove the barrel bolt, flip the clip to the opposite side, and be able to set it up for left side carry. Because the other features of this knife are also completely symmetrical, it was a great solution for left-handers, and it really allowed us to cater to everybody and meet all their needs equally. That same type of clip design was also incorporated into the Delica and the Endura. This is an Delica 98. So this is a third generation Delica that came out in 1998. As you can see, it included the barrel bolt style of clip that allowed you tip up carry left or right side. And to show that a little bit more clearly, what you can see here are a couple of our current production knives, the Rescue Junior. And you can see how it's literally the same knife, but what I've done is I flipped the clip from one side to the other. So you can see that one of these would be set up for left side tip up carry. This one's set up for right side tip up carry. And again, all the other features of this knife are completely symmetrical, so it really illustrates that point well. If you fast forward a little bit more, what you get into are 4-position clips. This is something that we introduced a few years after we did the barrel bolt style, and what we wanted was not just reversible, but also the ability to set up the knife for both tip down and tip up carry. Again, returning to this one here, you can see that this is only for tip up carry. So for people who prefer this style of carry, no problem. If you're a tip down type of person, if you like this style of opening, if you're carrying longer knives where drawing the knife and then getting into the standard thumb opening is a little bit easier when it's carried tip down, then the 4-position clip is a much better way to go. With the 4-position clip, what you have, as you can see again, we have 2 knives that are set up as mirror image to each other, and these again are set up for tip up carry. But you could just as easily flip that clip, attach it to the pivot pin end of the handle, and what you would have would be mirror image, left and right side tip down carry. So when you're looking for a left side knife, if you're a left-handed person, if you're looking for something to carry on your left side, one of the things you want to look for as you're reading through Spyderco copy is to look for key terms. One of the things specifically when it comes to clip carry is to look for reversible carry. Usually that applies to tip up carry, but it says that it's reversible left or right side. And then the other thing, if you're really looking for maximum versatility, would be a 4-position clip. With a 4-position clip, you have left or right side, tip up or tip down. You have literally all those capabilities, all those possibilities available to you. Now the next thing you want to look at when it comes to choosing a knife that is lefty friendly is to look for the operation of the lock mechanism. Now in simple terms, what you want to look at is anything where the lock is in line with the length of the handle and its operation is basically symmetrical. That's what's going to allow you to be lefty friendly. So on a back lock mechanism, you can see that I can operate this left or right side with equal ease because again, the design of the lock is completely symmetrical. Similarly, when you look at something like a ball bearing lock, again, it looks the same from each side, easy to open and close right-handed, also easy to open and close left-handed. No problem whatsoever. Again, completely symmetrical design. One of the other locks that does that is the power lock on this James Keating Chinook 4. Same type of thing. It looks very much like a back lock mechanism. Internally, it's a little bit different. It's a much stronger lock, has a slightly different mechanism, but the operation is basically the same. It's also completely lefty friendly. Final one of our current line that would also be completely symmetrical would be the stop lock, like on this Parada here. Again, you can see the design of the lock itself, the way that it's set up. It's completely accessible from either hand, very easy to open and close, left-handed or right-handed, doesn't matter. So looking for that symmetrical lock design is one of the things that will, again, ensure that you have something that's lefty friendly. When you look at other lock designs, for example, here we have, these are actually my carry knives, Yojimbo 2 right side, Yojimbo 2 left side. So what you can see is I've actually set one up for left side carry, tip up, right side carry, tip up. And what I've got is the ability to open both of these with equal ease. But when it comes to closing it, the compression lock mechanism is biased toward the right side. I place my thumb here, press with the index finger, that closes it. To do that on the left side, I have to use a little bit different technique, if you will. So I'm using my thumb here, swinging the blade down until it hits my index finger and closing it. And this is something for the lefties out there who are watching this, you can probably relate to this because you're used to taking right-handed tools and having to learn how to manipulate your left hand to make them work. That's a perfectly fine solution. It's not the cleanest solution, but it's certainly something a lot of folks do. What we've done though to make that a little bit easier on some of our models, for example, this is a military model, but you can see on this is a military model that is specifically set up for left side carry. We've actually engineered this and manufactured it so that it's designed with its liner lock mechanism to close left-handed. So you open it left-handed, close it left-handed. It literally is a mirror image of the standard version of this, which is a right-hand bias design. Similarly on this paramilitary 2, when we compare that to the compression lock on the Ojimbo, you can see that on the Ojimbo, it's set up so that you would apply pressure with your index finger, pushing from right to left to release the lock. Whereas this one is set up mirror image, so this one would be going from left to right. So to close this one one-handed, again, absolutely no problem because it's literally designed as a mirror image expression of that particular lock. The problem is that we only do this on our most popular designs. Again, we're business people, we have to be able to make smart business decisions. When it comes to being able to produce things that will sell, we have to be able to make sure that the market is valid. So when it comes to paramilitary 2s, when it comes to military models, very good selling models, and being able to produce a version that is specific for a minority of the population actually makes sense. In many cases, that's not practical for many of our other models. So what you want to do is, again, look at where can I find things that have that inline lock release mechanism? Where can I find back locks, ball bearing locks, and things of that nature? Because again, those are going to be the most versatile when it comes to being lefty friendly. Now the final consideration when it comes to operation of the knife and being able to make it lefty friendly is the ability to open the knife one-handed. Obviously that's something that's near and dear to our hearts because we pioneered that back with our very first knives. And what it comes down to with that is having accessibility of our trademark round hole. So when you look at the round hole, being able to access that both left and right-handed equally so. Again, what you're looking for when you're reading through our catalog, reading through our website copy, is a fully accessible trademark round hole. When we use that terminology, what that means is that you can access that hole equally well from left or right sides. Where this is a little bit different, and especially on some of our custom designs, some of the things that we do with our collaborators, what you'll see is in many cases these are specifically right-hand biased. So in this case, we have the Spidey Chef. You can see that the hole is accessible from the right side, but on the left side, the Reeve integral lock mechanism actually obscures the hole a little bit. So it's very easy to open right-handed. When it comes to getting your thumb in there left-handed, you can do it, but you really kind of have to work hard to get that. And a lot of that is simply, again, the designer's preference, taking a custom design and adapting that to a factory-made product. That's one of the limitations that comes along with it. One of the ways to get around that is to look at other opening mechanisms. So if the trademark round hole isn't the only thing that you want to use, you can also look at things like flippers. The flipper, even though the other aspects of this design, for example, a compression lock is a right-hand bias, the flipper is fully accessible from either side. So when you look at a flipper mechanism, even if the round hole isn't fully accessible, doesn't matter. If you want to use the flipper opening, you can do that left or right-handed, works equally well on either side. Similarly, if you look at something like an Emerson opening feature, obviously as this is drawn from the pocket, it opens automatically as it snags on the lip of the pocket, and it doesn't matter how the knife locks, how everything else operates, this is going to open it, so you don't have to worry so much about accessibility of the hole. In most cases, what you'll find, except for examples like the Tropin here, where this is, again, a compression lock mechanism that doesn't really allow good access to the round hole on the left side. But you'll find in most cases like the Matriarch 2 here, other things that we have that include the Emerson opening feature, typically they also have a fully accessible trademark round hole. Again, knowing that terminology, knowing what to look for when you're reading through our copy, and knowing what to look for when you're looking at the features and benefits of the knife, that becomes really important. Now, one final thing I want to mention when it comes to automatic knives. On the autonomy here, what you'll see is obviously is biased toward the right hand. This is set up so that when you press with the right thumb, it opens, and because the button is only located on one side of the handle, obviously it's biased very strongly toward the right hand. But by having this large button here, which we originally designed for the Coast Guard to be able to use with gloves on, what it also allows you to do is to be able to fire it very easily with the index finger of the left hand. So again, even though it is a right-hand biased design, when it comes to ease of operation left-handed, it's no problem because, again, the design is well thought out, and it also takes into consideration some of the concerns of catering to a left-handed audience. So again, what you want to look at is basically clip position, primary determining factor, because you want to be able to carry the knife on your left side. You also want to make sure that the operation of the lock release, is also something that is lefty friendly, specifically things like back locks, ball bearing locks, anything that is in line with the handle of the knife and basically gives you a symmetrical design of the knife. And then finally, the accessibility of that trademark round hole, or having some other way of getting the knife open easily with one hand. If you look for those specific features, if you educate yourself a little bit, and especially if you focus on those key terms, you'll be able to find something that works just as well for your left hand as it does for your right. With so many shapes, sizes, and styles of knives available, choosing a personal carry knife that is right for your needs can be challenging. This video will help you meet that challenge by guiding you through a logical process that will enable you to make the right choice the first time. The first step in choosing a carry knife should be learning about the knife laws in your area. The internet and your local library are great sources of information for this. In general, you should determine the legally permissible blade length and any restrictions regarding the carry of specific types of knives or methods of carry. Remember to check both state and any applicable local or municipal laws where you live and in areas where you frequently travel. Laws can vary from place to place, so it's your responsibility to do the homework. Once you have a better idea of the basic size and type of knife you're permitted to carry, use that information to narrow your choice to either a folding knife or a fixed blade sheath knife. Fixed blades are stronger than folders and excellent for outdoor activities and rural environments. For most people, however, folding knives tend to be more convenient, easier to carry, and more commonly seen than fixed blades. If, like most people, you decide that a folding knife best meets your needs, your next question should be whether you prefer or are allowed to carry a knife with a locking or non-locking blade. Locking blades have a mechanical lock mechanism that secures the blade firmly in the open position. This prevents a knife from closing accidentally and allows greater utility of the point of the blade. However, some jurisdictions prohibit lock blade knives, and some knife users prefer the traditional non-locking or slip joint style of knife. Another important consideration is whether you are right or left-handed. Some lock mechanisms, like the liner lock, are usually built with a right-hand bias, making them easier for right-handed people to operate. Although left-handed liner locks are sometimes produced and many left-handers have learned to adapt to right-handed knives, an easier solution is to choose a locking mechanism that can be operated equally well with either hand. Lock mechanisms like the back lock and ball bearing lock are completely ambidextrous, making them ideal for left-handers or users who prefer the advantage of being able to operate the knife equally well with either hand. One very desirable feature on a folding knife is the capability to open the blade using only one hand. Typically, this is provided through something that offers traction for the thumb to manually rotate the blade to the open position. This may be a stud, a disc, or an elegantly simple hole in the blade. One of the defining characteristics of the modern folding knife, the one-hand opening feature, was first introduced into production knives and popularized by Spyderco. To ensure that your knife is accessible when you need it, you should also consider carry position. Most folding knives can be true pocket knives and carried in the pocket. However, to keep them even more accessible, make full use of your pocket, and keep your knife free from pocket lint, a pocket clip is a much better option. First introduced and popularized by Spyderco, it allows you to carry your knife clipped to the top of the pocket, where it is instantly available when needed. Your preference of right or left-handed carry will also influence your choice of clip-carried knives. Some knives offer reversible clips that allow them to be carried on either side of the body with equal ease. You should also know that clip carry positions can be either tip up or tip down. Tip up means the point of the closed knife faces upward when carried in the pocket. On properly designed knives, this allows you to draw and open the knife without having to adjust your grip on the handle. Tip down means that the point of the closed blade faces downward when carried. This style of carry requires a slight grip adjustment after the knife is drawn, but is more comfortable for some users. If you want the best of all worlds, you can choose a knife with a 4-position clip that supports tip up and tip down carry on both the left and right sides. Getting to the heart of the knife, the next consideration is blade shape. Choice of blade shape can be determined by the types of tasks you will most likely perform with your knife, your personal preferences, or a combination of both. Blades with lots of belly to the cutting edge work very well for slicing chores. Hawkbill profiles with concave cutting edges tend to collect the material being cut and work well on rope and cord. Straight-edged Wharncliffe blades are great general-purpose knives that also allow precise cutting with the tip of the blade. Sheepfoot blades also have straight cutting edges, but have blunted points. This makes them ideal for use as rescue tools, especially when the blade features a serrated edge. Trying different blade styles will enable you to gain experience with them and feel how they perform when cutting different materials. Blade steel can also be a critical aspect of choosing a knife that is appropriate for your needs. Knife steel is a very complex topic, but in general, you should think in terms of edge holding, corrosion resistance, and your ability to sharpen the edge when it becomes dull. When properly ground, all modern knife steels will take a reasonable edge. Higher quality steels, when properly hardened and tempered, will retain a sharp edge for a significant period of time before requiring sharpening. Stainless steels are desirable because they are more resistant to rust and corrosion than non-stainless steels. They are therefore a better choice for knife users working in humid climates or around water. A good knife steel should also allow the knife to be sharpened easily without the need for special tools or equipment. Another aspect of blade selection is the choice of edge style, specifically plain edge, serrated edge, or a combination edge. A traditional plain edge cuts cleanly and works well for all cutting chores, as long as it is kept sharp and well maintained. The serrated edge was first introduced to folding knives by Spyderco in 1981. It cuts very aggressively and is ideal for cutting fibrous materials like rope and webbing. Properly designed serrations also tend to maintain a usable edge longer than a plain edge. However, it's important to remember that all serrations are not created equal. A combination edge provides a balance of these two qualities, offering a section of serrations near the heel of the blade and a plain edge near the tip. Your choice of edge should be based on a consideration of the types of cutting chores and materials you plan to tackle, as well as an honest assessment of your sharpening skills. Closely related to edge style is edge geometry. In simple terms, this is the cross-sectional shape of the blade that is produced by the grinding process. Like blade shape, there are many variations to edge geometry, but an acute cutting angle at the edge, backed by a strong supporting blade structure, provides the best overall performance. Another aspect of choosing a personal carry knife is handle design. In considering handle design, you should pay close attention to ergonomics, the size, shape, and feel of the handle relative to your hand, as well as the material and texture of the handle. A good handle should provide a secure grip and allow you to use the knife safely with power and control. Your choice of handle material should be a balance of your needs and preferences, combining aesthetic qualities with durability and strength. Finally, you should consider your personal budget and how it applies to the style and materials of your knife. The best knife brands offer a broad selection of products that provide quality and performance at prices that fit every budget. They should also offer upscale knives, limited editions, and other special features that provide both performance and a higher degree of pride of ownership. That broad spectrum of choices allows you to choose a knife that is right for you, your needs, and your personal taste. The knife you carry is a very personal choice and a direct reflection of your individual needs and tastes. We hope the logic described in this video will help you in this process and will enable you to make your first choice the right choice for you.
In 1981, Spyderco defined the form of the modern folding knife by integrating groundbreaking features like the pocket clip, one-handed opening, and the extreme cutting power of a serrated edge. Those innovations changed the knife industry forever and continue to set the standard in folding knife performance 4 decades later. They also made our knives the go-to choice for countless armed professionals and other duty-bound personnel worldwide. Today, Spyderco continues to lead from the front, pioneering the use of state-of-the-art blade steels, high-tech materials, and uncompromising quality standards. We also remain steadfast in our support of military and other uniformed personnel and truly appreciate the trust and confidence you place in us and our products. To thank you for your selfless service and sacrifice, we wanted to give back. That's why we created OpFocus. Short for Operational Focus, this program allows law enforcement officers, active duty military, veterans, qualified first responders, and medical professionals to purchase Spyderco products directly from us at a substantial discount. To learn more about this program or to create your own OpFocus account, please visit our website, spyderco.com.